what is nicotine withdrawal? Like, a lot of people vape, a lot of people smoke, chewing tobacco. I mean, it's an addiction. Nicotine is literally the worst addiction that I've ever had. I am a recovering cocaine and alcoholic addict. When I got off of those, I have to say the toughest one for me, mentally, psychologically, physically for me, is nicotine. Nicotine, by far, I have to say, is one of the toughest addictions there is. And here's why. Now, don't get me wrong. Cocaine addiction, alcohol addiction, I mean, you're going through a detox. There's a lot that goes involved into them. But for me, even mentally, nicotine addiction was the worst. This is what I experienced going through the withdrawals of nicotine. If you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe button. What's up, guys? My name is Eric. I am diagnosed with ADHD, PTSD, GAD, MDD, level 1 autism, lost a wife and a father to suicide. I'm a recovering cocaine and alcoholic addict. And I like to share everything that I can from experiences. And one of the experiences that I had this past year was I quit smoking. Now, I quit smoking. I didn't quit nicotine. And nicotine addiction is one of the toughest addictions for me. This has been a bigger battle for me than what alcohol addiction has been, what cocaine addiction has been, just getting sober from those. Nicotine has literally been one of the toughest ones. And even when it went to quitting smoking, I had to actually use a nicotine supplement to help me with it. A lot of people don't realize that when you go through withdrawals, it's different for everybody. And my withdrawals from nicotine were brutal of what I ended up feeling. I quit smoking and I wanted to go cold turkey. That doesn't work. When I quit, what I experience is within just a couple of hours, and again, withdrawals are different for everybody. We all react differently to things. But for me, a couple hours without a cigarette, my mood instantly changed. I was cranky, I was upset, I was irritable. I was just not a nice person to be around. I was I was angry. Physically, I could feel like my skin was very just tightening. It's like I wanted to rip my skin off. I could literally feel the hair growing. I could feel inside, like trying to take breaths of cigarettes. I could feel just this overwhelming urge to want to smoke, to want to get this into my system. All I wanted to do is smoke. In fact, that started to take a priority over everything. One of the hardest things too is smoking, even though it's kind of looked down upon, it's not like alcohol, it's not like some of the other drugs where, you're looked at very differently, especially we as addicts, if you're an alcoholic, when you're drinking 7:30 in the morning. I mean, that's by society standard, not good. When it comes to cocaine addiction, I mean, it's an illegal substance. I mean, these withdrawals and addictions that you're going through, that you're going through them, and you cannot curb them per se like you can when it comes to smoking, when it comes to vaping, when it comes to a lot of these different nicotine addictions. That it's just, you can go outside, you can go down to the gas station, you can buy a pack of cigarettes, you can buy a lighter, you can walk outside the gas station, you can light up a cigarette, and you can fulfill that need for that addiction. It was so hard because so many of the habits, especially if you're a smoker, are based around your addiction. The going outside, getting some fresh air because you're going to go outside and smoke a cigarette. The drinking the coffee in the morning because you're going to go have a cigarette. I was outside a lot more than what I was when I have quit smoking, in the sense that I was constantly outside and I was constantly smoking. It's one that you can literally go and with just some money, pay over the counter, fix your addiction. And to fight that is extremely difficult. I couldn't quit nicotine on its own. I became just irritable. I couldn't sleep. My appetite was all over the board. I wanted to eat a bunch of food, but then I wasn't very hungry. And this is all in a matter of time. Your sense of smell is thrown off. Your sense of taste is thrown off. And you become so fixated in your brain of you need to stop it, because it's not a physical pain, but it's almost like this mental lung, just inside pain of you want to just rip out of your body to fulfill this urge that you have, that shows how strong this addiction is, how much of a grip over your life it has. I smoked 2.5 packs of cigarettes a day for a long time. And that was my life. My life was based around that. My clothes smelled bad. My car smelled bad. Anywhere that I went, I had to make sure I knew how to get outside because I had to feed this addiction. And it's horrible when you look back and you go, man, I'm addicted to something this much. I wish I never started smoking. It was one of the things that I wish it wasn't looked upon as like being cool when I was in high school, because I wanted to fit in with the cool kids, so I'm going to start smoking. And next thing you know, I'm a mad addict when it comes to smoking cigarettes. Your hand gets used to this. You get used to a placement of your hand up to your mouth. You get used to these deep breaths. You get used to when the nicotine hits your system, it's almost like an aha feeling. Whenever that urge, whenever that withdrawal craving is hit, it's that aha feeling. It's a great feeling. I had to get onto a nicotine supplement. I ended up using the nicotine salt pouches, and those were able to still give me the nicotine into my system, but I still had to break the habits, and it's very difficult. This has been over almost a year battle of getting completely off of nicotine. It is, when I quit drinking, I went through body sweats, I went through not being able to sleep, I went through hallucinations, I went through the shakes, everything, and those withdrawals subsided within about a week, and I knew what I was doing. I wanted to save my life. I'd hit rock bottom. If I smoke a cigarette, I don't destroy my life. If I drink, I destroy my life. When I went to cocaine addiction, the same thing. Again, when you smoke a cigarette, yeah, it's frowned upon on society because you smell bad, but it's this urge, and it's hard because especially if you're a smoker or you vape, you're usually hanging out with people that do the same thing. So it's something that's easily accessible to you. And all it takes is that one hit, and you go right back down that road. I had to even find a nicotine supplement that was not at all like smoking, so I didn't even try the vaping route because I needed to change all my habits. And that's where I don't think a lot of people realize is when it comes to quitting smoking, it's not just the nicotine withdrawal of what you're feeling physically, the headaches, the restlessness, the overwhelming urge to just calm it. It's the inside you can feel your heart almost. You can feel fluctuation in it. You can feel a fluctuation difference in your body. But it's also a massive change of habits too. And so many of our habits that you don't realize, especially the longer that you smoke, of how many habits you truly have, of how those habits are actually based around smoking. And now all of a sudden, everything that was normal to you isn't normal to you anymore, that you actually have to break it all. So you're kind of like left with like, what do I do now? And people don't sometimes understand. I mean, I get it, quit cold turkey and just man it up and tough it up. It's hard to do. People don't understand addiction unless they've been an addict themselves, that they don't understand the urge to just make whatever it is that your body or that you're feeling go away, make it feel normal as possible, is at your fingertips, and just to do it is so much easier than going through that pain. It's very difficult. It's one of those that you can affect relationships around you because you do change some as an individual. There are people that I know that have been told not to quit smoking or not to quit chewing just because it changes your personality, where you're very irritable. Your moods are very, very up and down. You're temperamental. You snap. You don't think before you talk because there's something that's constantly on your mind. It's this urge on your mind to quit what you're going through. It's one that the withdrawals are not going to kill you, but when you're going through it, it's a nightmare. And it's also at that time and at that moment so hard to tell yourself mentally that, hey, this is temporary, you're going to get through this, because it seems like forever. The worst part about addiction that I don't think a lot of people understand is when you're going through the withdrawals, time stops. Time literally ceases to exist almost. And every minute you can feel it's like an hour. And you're going, oh yeah, time, well, 3, 4, 5 days down the road and you're still going through it. You just want it to stop. And it's also hard when you have these different outside influences of people going, hey, you're being an asshole. You're not eating correctly all of a sudden because your appetite's thrown off. That so many changes now are happening that it does affect your life. And now all of a sudden you want your life to be normal. So what are you going to do? The easiest thing you know to make your life normal. And that's what nicotine withdrawal was for me. Nicotine withdrawal it made me an asshole. It threw me off so much, very irritable, that I didn't want to ruin what was around me and the people around me and upset the people around me and hurt the people around me, because a lot of times, sometimes we hang around with people, they don't understand what addiction's like, they don't understand what withdrawals are like, and they'll take stuff personal, and that's understandable. We're the addicts ourselves in whatever you're addicted to, that they don't might necessarily get the withdrawals. They also don't get why it's not so easy just to stop. It's one of those that you just can't have one. And I wish that you could, but you can't. I went to the nicotine salts because it really does calm the urge. I've had to change up all my habits because it's physically to get that urge and to fill that urge of the nicotine. So I had to change up a lot of my habits. Just because I have nicotine in my system doesn't mean that I don't even miss smoking. The smell, there's everything about it, the way that it tastes, the way that it feels that first time you light it up. I mean, you romanticize about this. That's what addiction is. So anybody who's going through addiction, it's a struggle. If you're going through nicotine withdrawals, if you're trying to quit vaping, if you're trying to quit smoking, chewing, my heart goes out to you. I know how much of a battle it is. It is one of those that we can win. That's the best part about it, is you don't have to be a victim to it. You can win your addiction battle, but it's finding out what method works for you, whether it's the gum, whether it's Chantix, whether it's the patch, whether it's quitting cold turkey, whether it's nicotine salts, whatever it might be that helps you quit. Awesome. And that's what it's about, is letting other people know, though, that they're not alone. Anybody that I ever find and run into that it turns out they're quitting smoking, I'm like, dude, I feel for you. I know what it's like. I know what it's like. And I know how that anxiety now feels. I know how the mood, the depression, all that stuff feels now, because your body is craving something that you're not giving it. So if you are going through this, remember, you're not alone. If you struggle to the point that you need extra help, especially in any of the bigger addictions when it comes to like alcohol or cocaine, I do have links down below. Reach out for help. Tell people what you're doing. One of the biggest things that will help you is if you let everyone know what addiction you're trying to break. It gives you accountability. It gives you people that will give you support, because we need the support. And it will give you that sense of accomplishment each day that you keep going. So don't ever forget that. Remember that the journey that you started, man, is worthwhile. And once you actually break that addiction and you get clean from it, the life changes that you start to feel are amazing, and it makes it so worth it. I'd love to hear you guys' experience. Hit the like and subscribe button. Comment down below, because it's about people not feeling alone. When we're alone is when we become our own worst enemy, and it makes everything in life so much more difficult. So comment below. I'd love to know if you've quit smoking, or if you're struggling with addiction battle, of how it's going, because it's about people helping people. And that's the whole joy of everything in life. So you know what? If you're out there, you're struggling, you got this. It's one day at a time. And you know what? You matter.